a trophy is not as difficult as defending it. It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. These are constant reminders of the need to pay attention to details in all human activity. With underdevelopment said to be lack of maintenance, nations, businesses and individuals globally embark on various systems upgrade to boost performance and ensure growth. For most, a plan B is always handy to address unforeseen challenges which, left unattended, would result in great losses. Recent happenings in Nigeria have resulted in an urgent need for an aggressive change drive, demanding billions of naira to fix a nation battling with financial difficulty. With investigations tracing causes of the situation to neglect and a nonchalant attitude to public and sometimes individual property, the Dateline 360 crew will this week turn searchlight on the maintenance culture of Nigerians. Welcome to the program. I'm Hawa Salihu Adam. Good to have you rejoin us as always. This time around, our attention is turned to a disturbing lifestyle with grave consequences for Nigerians as a people and nation. Mie Ogidi, with the lead report for this edition, anchors his presentation on the recent closure of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport following a dire need for reconstruction of the only runway.
This is the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, Nigeria. On an ordinary day, it is a beehive of activity. Unfortunately, for about 6 weeks, this airport will be devoid of any economic activity. The reason for this is the construction of another runway following the near collapse of the old one.
The runway had been handed over to the contractor, and what they have done is to displace the runway with markings. That means that even if by chance an aircraft is on air and wants to do emergency landing, it cannot be possible because the marking has already been displaced that runway is not in use.
Regrettably, this is the price people have to pay for neglect of public facilities, as this total closure of the airport is coming about 15 years after the expiration of the original runway, expected to last for 20 years. Aside the aviation sector, other sectors such as telecommunication, with NITEL as case study, education and roads suffer similar neglect or lack of rehabilitation.
You discover that the chair or table a civil servant sits on is not even maintained. It's not well taken care of. When you ask after, is it my own? Is it not government property? So because we don't personalize those things as we don't see Nigeria as our own, we see it as their own.
These things belongs to us. We should not begin to look at them because they are government. If it's your own, how will you feel? We just feel that it's nobody's business. Anything can go. And even those of us too who are at the top, I'm sorry to say, are not equally helping matters. Otherwise, why should you spend so much money, like you said, taxpayers' money, to do a road, and somebody wakes up overnight and begin to dig the road, and in the name that he's laying a pipe?
This structure here represents the Federal Civil Service of Nigeria, as it houses majority of the ministries, departments and agencies. But it has also gotten its own fair share of the lack of maintenance culture in Nigeria, which has become legendary.
Not only the lifts, even the air conditioning equipment, most of them are not functioning. And I believe it has to do with our culture in this country, lack of maintenance. Once a facility is put in place, it's as good as done.
So who are the people responsible for the maintenance of this Federal Secretariat? Because this is the beauty of Nigeria. The whole ministry are here.
Although it is believed that flying is for a certain class of people, majority of Nigerians take advantage of this mode of transportation. The closure of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, is to ensure safety of lives, as well as to give the airport a befitting status as the major gateway to the country. The closure comes with pains not limited only to operators of aviation, air travelers and the government. But the lesson therein is that the maintenance of public facilities should be an attitude that every individual must imbibe. Mie Ogidi for Dateline 360.
Mie, with success said to always be under construction, the need for constant attention to details cannot be overemphasized. Now, the oil and gas industry in Nigeria is one critical sector that has held the nation together for so long. Despite the importance of this sector, however, it is embedded in controversy as regards our subject of discuss. Let's join Emmanuel Lene in Port Harcourt, South Nigeria, for his perspective.
In Niger Delta region, oil and gas pipelines crisscross farmlands, communities, rivers and creeks, while connecting fuel stations which feed the refineries and other oil and gas companies. The economic importance of these pipelines as national assets need not be overemphasized and as such need periodic maintenance. Unfortunately, this is not the case as pipelines become too old and corrosive, leading to spills and environmental degradation in most oil-producing communities. This often leads to agitation and confrontations between oil and gas companies and oil-bearing communities, with the latter often alleging that most of the spills which damage aquatic life and other sources of their livelihood are due to equipment failure and poor maintenance.
Most oil and gas companies have a system in place where periodically the equipment are supposed to be maintained regarding things like pipelines, flow stations, different infrastructure, refineries and so on. And the implication of not getting them maintained at the proper time is that they have serious cost implications.
Experts in the oil and gas industry say metals are subject to corrosion, especially when they come in contact with water and other liquid components. They added that these facilities have lifespan of between 10 and 30 years, depending on the quality, hence the need for periodic maintenance in line with global standards. Neglect over time can result in massive health and environmental impact and high capital replacement eventually.
One, you need to look at the impact on the environment itself. That one you cannot really quantify because it affects the human beings, it affects the environment, and then also you need to find that if you don't maintain this equipment, the cost of capital replacement is also very high. In addition to the fact that during the period of maintenance, there are losses not only to the oil and gas companies, but also to the government in terms of the fact that those facilities are not in place to carry crude or to carry refined product during the period they are shut down.
While the oil and gas companies may blame poor maintenance on inaccessibility to facilities due to hostility of restive use of the areas, how have they maintained relationship with the host communities?
Are increasingly becoming conscious on a daily basis of what they think rightly belongs to them. They are increasingly becoming conscious of what they think the government should do for them and all that. They are increasingly becoming conscious of what they think they should get from oil companies. Some of these expectations are not actualized, and for that reason, we see what they are doing. In any event, that sound relationship between oil companies and host communities has very terrible implications.
Stakeholders are calling for national reorientation on the need for both the public and private sectors to imbibe the maintenance culture as it makes the facilities last longer. In Port Harcourt, I'm Emmanuel Lene for Dateline 360.
That national reorientation, many will tell you, Emmanuel, could be in government's renewed clean-up initiatives and directive for more inclusion through movement of headquarters to operation areas by IOCs, and I dare say, host communities' reassessment of perception of resource control. Now, to that sector which almost every Nigerian is a stakeholder. Kene Emagbodike takes us through the reality of the Nigerian sports sector.
An age-long culture of poor maintenance of facilities has indeed negatively affected the sports sector. Virtually every government-owned sport facilities in the nook and cranny of the nation lie in deplorable condition. The reason is not far-fetched though, but what has become worrisome is that the trend remains unabated.
Nigeria has not really done well in terms of maintenance of facilities. If you go anywhere in this country, go to the UJ Eswene Stadium in Calabar, it's been dilapidated. If you go to the stadium in Lagos, we are always trying to revive it year in, year out, but nothing has been done. So, in my own opinion, no existing facility in Nigeria is being maintained up to international standard, to meet up with international best practices. It looks as though from the day these facilities are put in place, they started depreciating.
There are over 20 courts in this arena. The rest courts are not as good as this, except those other two that we developed for kids. That makes them about 8 now. Be that as it may, you see with me that these facilities have not been taken care of properly. The hockey pitch is directly opposite me. It is seldom put to use. It is the proximity to the basketball pitch that has generated the activities that you see around the basketball arena too. That is just here. The same goes for every other sporting facility in the rest of the country.
It depicts the lack of planning in governance. If the government wants to, to build an edifice, sporting facilities, you should also look at how these facilities will be maintained. It's not just by constructing them. There must be a plan on ground on how, after building them, they will be maintained. You'll find out that most of all our sporting facilities were just developed to host various tournaments. But we do not look beyond those tournaments. And you'll find out that at the end of the day, the ministry will tell you that they do not have money.
Perhaps the true picture of poor maintenance of sports facilities in the country can best be captured by this velodrome located at the Package A section of the Abuja National Stadium. This edifice, which is said to be the only one of its kind in the entire West Africa, has not been put to use since its construction in 2003. It was mainly built for indoor cycling and other sports. Presently, it is home to some gas cylinders, which we understand is a subject of litigation.
While they are doing their litigation in the court, we want them to please to evacuate those gas cylinders so that we can upgrade the stadium, call our partners in UCI to come and certify it so that we can commence the track event. 2, it has 3,200 executive seats. That could be a facility that could also raise money for us to continue managing the sports of cycling.
It might suffice to say that the recent joint inspection visit by Governor Akiwumi Ambode of Lagos State and the Minister of Youth and Sport Development, Solomon Dalung, to the National Stadium in Lagos could be the beginning of the journey to ending the whole saga.
What we ask for is not as if we are being aggressive. We just think that we need to stand up for leadership here and take over the National Stadium here. We want to bequeath something back to generations that come behind us, that we are not a generation of wasters.
Most nations in the world might afford to pay lip service to maintenance of their sport facilities, but definitely not Nigeria, a nation whose sporting industry has brought more of glory than sorrow. In Abuja, Kene Ima Abodike, reporting for Dateline 360.
Certainly not Nigeria, Kene. Sadly, that's one area that seems to have beaten all attempts at fixing it. Our look at critical sectors of the Nigerian economy which have suffered neglect may not be complete without a look at a critical monument in the nation's history. The story of the Tafawa Balewa Square, where the Nigerian flag was first hoisted. Jane Ojukwu is on standby for that update.
This is Tafawa Balewa Square. It is on this very ground that the Union Jack was lowered when Nigeria gained its independence in 1960. And the Nigerian flag, the green, white, green, was hoisted. From then on, events of national importance are held at the Tafawa Balewa Square, which is named after the then Prime Minister, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. It was not until the nation's capital, which was located in Lagos, was relocated to Abuja in 1991 that a new square, the Ego Square, relieved Tafawa Balewa Square of hosting some of the national events. Still, the square has retained its pride as a national monument. 56 years down the line, what is the state of this edifice?
It was quite Fashola regime stroke Ambode now. We could see severe change of bus stop around the surround of the complex and quite few of event holding in this complex.
Artists could be playing here, artists could be working here, so that it generates revenue for maintenance.
And how much of its history do Nigerians remember?
I don't know the history of this monument. We used it in 1977 for Festac.
It's a legacy by past administrations, even our colonial masters.
Does the Tafawa Balewa Square still host national events?
Most of the major events in this country are hosted in the TBS, the Lagos Carnival, the Ayo Festival. Even when we are any incoming government, especially Lagos State, the inauguration or swearing in is usually done here.
The monument lost its aesthetic value when hoodlums converted it to their heaven. The federal government intervened by handing over its maintenance to an independent organization through a bidding process.
It was really in a bad state. It was dilapidated. It was an abode for area boys. But if you look around currently, the place is very clean. It's very serene. We have a lot of tourists that come in here. Sometime this year, the vice president came here to represent the president.
Plans are rife to upgrade and modernize this relic of independence.
A very apt reference point of a stitching time. Expectation is that the plans of revival will yield the desired result. And to our closing shots this week, put together by Abdullahi Garba Brini Kudu. It is an interactive